So my first question that I wrote down was, how did he come to the idea of unlimited detail?
That is a very long process. Essentially what happened was Bruce was looking into ways to visualize his games. And he actually taught himself coding, and in a particular fashion that most people hadn't approached it from. Mm-hmm. And one of the things he needed to do was obviously visualize the game worlds that he was creating. And he came to the conclusion of, well, in life there's atoms. Surely if we created a program or software that would render things in point and information, like an atom, we could get a visual. And that was the beginnings of the algorithm that actually creates unlimited detail. It's putting up points of data that the software is telling it. So objects in the game are rendered out using the point cloud. And I'm actually using words that really are industry stuff now. But as far as Bruce was concerned, he was making atom points, and it was working. And then, based on that, Bruce was very quick to start working with some folks, set everything up. And this island was the first major creation using the revised algorithm. And as you can see here, it's a vast environment, a lot of repetition because they're trying to build this in a couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. And everything else you see on the internet is pretty much the grandson of this technology.
Okay.
And there's plenty more to come. So this one essentially broke the ground and just showed a crazy amount of detail.
That's pretty good.
And that's pretty much where Bruce started from.
Well, my second question would be your new website, your current website, that shows all these photos from above, these maps, and so what was that all about?
That is data sets been given to us by companies who use LiDAR data. And essentially they saw this island and they were just blown away because this almost combined with their entire database worth of LiDAR sets.
Yeah.
And so they approached us and says, well, if you created a platform for us to run LiDAR data point cloud, we'd be very, very interested. So that's pretty much the reason we moved we kind of segued away from gaming and started looking into the LiDAR industry, because since we could do this quite easily, and they're running anywhere from hundreds of thousands of points to a couple of billion, and we can do 21 trillion in this map, you can give an idea that we're going, this would be quite easy for us. So we've concentrated for an entire year to develop this. Well, not the island obviously, but Geoverse, the actual application. And there's the famous elephant.
Yeah, I saw that sitting in the
it was in the foyer with you, yeah. He's a de facto mascot. Came from a little $1 budget shop. So yeah, you can actually see the wrinkles in the skin. We do a lot better now. You got to remember, this is a couple of years ago for us. But as an example of what the unlimited point cloud can do, I'll just zoom very carefully. So basically, it's a full mesh turned into point cloud. And what I'll do is very carefully go to the edge. There you go. You can actually see the edge line on the corner there.
Oh yes.
And it's all made up of little points of data, and that creates your full body enclosed 3D object.
Oh, wow.
Now, if I remember correctly, it was 16 million polygons. Fairly large model, and then we just baked it into point cloud and run it quite easily on the island. But again, a couple of years ago, we do a lot better than that now. So we have a little fun game when I show this at conferences of Go Elephant Safari. There's one over there. There's only a couple of hundred of them on the island, so it's one of the silly games you generate, and that's all you can do for the meantime. So yeah, anything else?
Yeah, could your engine run on a ARM processor, like on mobile phones, or?
It's something we're working towards, because as you understand, we can run a laptop, streaming from a hard drive. It's a matter of finding how they do it using their systems and integrating with them. That's essentially, you just need to work with people on that. So anything as we take this out to market, you learn how they use their information and their data and how they visualize things and see where unlimited detail can fit in. And that's pretty much part of our market research.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then what can you laser scan into your engine, or where are the limitations of that?
What can we laser scan in? As long as it's all the top formats which you can find on our website. I actually listed those on the website. I think we've got about 8 or 9 at the moment. All the different scanners in the LiDAR industry, they have their proprietary formats, and we've learned how to actually work with all of them. Much like working with a zip file is like a standard across the board for compressing files. Each company has their usual format so that their users stick with their products. You know. So in this case, we've had to learn all of that and allow all of these different laser devices and the capture techniques to be converted into our .uds format, and then that format is what's run in the Gero's product, which is the grandson of this.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we're not really limited, it's more down to just development time. You know, is it worth the investment to bring across a very niche product versus one that's used by a whole industry?
Okay, so
Yeah.
then are you afraid of AMD or NVIDIA trying to stop your project, or that they send a hitman maybe?
No, not really. I mean, there's nothing for them to really be afraid of, technically speaking. We're coming at this from a completely different direction. We would like to, obviously, you know, eventually work with these people. But as I was saying before, you know, we are a software engine that runs directly from the hard drive, and their technology is designed completely to interface with the GPU, and we ignore that totally, except for just, you know, putting an image up on the screen. So it makes for a very interesting discussion, but we don't want people to fear us. It's more we just want to work with people, because we've got something special here. We know it, and they know it. You know, all the industry guys, like a lot of the commentary on the internet, they'll be like, okay, no, fine, fair enough. We understand why you're not doing gaming at this point, because, you know, we need to build up our animation ability, our lighting ability, all that sort of thing. But fitting into GIS and all those different industries I mentioned before, they see that, yeah, they fully agree. As experts, they go, yeah, that's a great idea, because you can render point cloud information so expertly.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're all gamers here. We're all looking forward to working with these guys and actually doing something really special. But as you can imagine, it'll be a little while before we do that. So, you know, sorry to all the gamers, but, you know, we're actually servicing a huge amount of people beforehand.
All right. Could you make any advantage from NVIDIA physics that runs physics from the GPU to render it on a GPU?
Oh gosh, I must admit, you a single sentence walks straight out of my knowledge area. When it comes to physics and that, it's something I'm not sure where the guys are at in the development team, but it's definitely something we've been considering. We've been admiring how other engines do it, they use similar technologies or you know, representative techniques. But for me personally, I really am not the one to actually be able to answer that, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a bit outside my skills.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, with animation lighting and that's things we've got to develop. Yeah.
All right. Then, what will the future of 3D engines and games will be like? What do you think?
Well, we take a lot. You look at an industry right now, and you see some very, very clever stuff going on. That's the old logo. There's the other. I think in the future, if we look at things like Oculus Rift and the unfortunate news of a couple of days ago, the founder, if you haven't heard, he was actually struck down by a car.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's dead at the scene, sadly. So we've lost a very, very clever man. And it's people like that who are doing wholly new ways to interact with the world, in the virtual world, enhanced augmented reality, all that sort of thing. I mean, the advent of Google Glass, you could suddenly be walking down the street and gold coins are pitch up and you can play, you know, Super Mario Brothers in the actual streets or something like that. I think the engaging and crossover of the real world and the virtual world are going to start happening. You hear a lot of that in our videos out there. But once you start getting the ability to render the stuff power-wise, very cheaply, then I think we'll start seeing a very big crossover. As you heard, Sounds Next Door, I mean, there's big environment, virtual reality stuff you can do. Now you could even have walls that are just change over like you see in sci-fi movies. And half the ideas that rock around the surface that we can actually head towards. I've seen a lot of sci-fi movies of late where we just kind of yawn. It's like, come on guys, push it a bit further, because to be honest, us and many other startup companies out there are doing what they're showing in the sci-fi movies. Litro camera, unlimited focus. Whatever you like in the picture it captures, you can focus on. And they didn't tell us, but they can actually do a lot more than it. And all they're doing is firmware updates that allow that lens to just go, oh yeah, this is the other thing I can do now. Which is, I think one ability was they take a capture of your face, but it's also capturing multiple angles around it, so it can shift 1 to 2 millimeters either side and give you a pseudo 3D image. Check it out. It is amazing. And the camera could always do that. They just didn't tell you that it could. I thought that was brilliant, and it's just this magic device. Small industry, small, very, very clever people are doing big things that are changing everything. And it's all going to have a point of convergence at some stage. So Google Glass that requires almost so much power to run the visualization thing, and we have here the ability to run unlimited detail with very low power consumption. So you can see how that could start to cross over. Now I'm not saying we're going to charge out there and work with Google, but it's a matter of once people are learning where they can integrate different technologies, you'll actually get surprising results. So,
I can imagine.
Yeah. We feel in the next 5 years there's going to be a lot of convergence of startup technology that disrupts everything all over again. And if you take Litro, Oculus Rift, heck, even unlimited detail, you can see where it's beginning.
Okay. And my last question would be, what can we expect to see from you in the future?
Oh, that would be telling. Well, first thing, in the very near term, you'll see the full application in Geoverse come out. That's already on our website, Euclideon Official, for YouTube, so you can check that out. That is for the geospatial industry, GIS. Basically allows them to view point cloud data very easily, very quickly, once they've converted over to our format, which is another application of ours, which is called Geoverse Convert. It takes all the top formats, turns it into our UDS file, which then runs in Geoverse. Beyond that, we've got a couple of little hush-hush projects, which I really can't talk to you about. But if you can run unlimited detail and you can run environments, take a guess. It's a matter of just being very, very good at it, and that's what we're focusing on and refining.
Okay.
And of course, there's always the push for trying to get some animation going, lighting, and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, it was really interesting, and thank you very much for talking to you. And
no, you're welcome, man. You were surprised visit.
Yeah, it was a bit.
It was a bit rushed.
Yeah, just admit that.